The second type down here is what we call an extension. So this is where people say, well, okay, so I've got my Sky News on my Facebook profile, but surely I can do something social with it. So they then say, let's share it, let's have rating, let's have comments. So this is a way in which a brand can kind of sort of start to make it a little bit more social. But then the two that really start to sort of get interesting are these two, publication and remix. A publication is where you say, I want to own one long-term feature on the social network. So take Honesty Box, for example. His target was, I'm going to own the concept of anonymous messaging between friends. So a couple of friends can say, I can say, well, I've got a new hairstyle. What do you think of my new hairstyle? And my friends can feed back anonymously. Now, he's got over 5 million users. That same feature is then rolled out over MySpace, Bebo, High Five, wherever you like it. But he's just targeted that one single feature. So that's the publication approach. And we've done that with CNN. We've done a kind of a health pledge one, so trying to help users to look after their health better and share that with their friends. And then finally, the remix is very much a kind of a nudge concept about remixing your brand on the social network. So, and what does that mean? It means that we've got this massive amount of data and social graph that's all there. We don't need to add any new content. Or we can leverage what you've got in your brand, stick it together with a social graph, remix it and create something new. So in the example of the Apprentice board, rather than trying to push new content onto the Apprentice show, what we did is we said, well, actually, there's this kind of cool thing called the boardroom where everybody hangs out with Anne and Sugar. What would it be like if me and my friends were in that boardroom? So on the Apprentice board, you could say, right, I'll put my dad as the chief executive officer. I'll put one of my colleagues as the kind of the water cooler guy, and then there's a great conversation around that. And that remixing is what made that campaign. So. We've got a branded app launching. It was launching at the moment, so just to tell you about it, because it's just a nice example. It's called Win as a Group. So if you want to win cinema tickets, go and have a look at apps.facebook.com Win as a Group. Or the best way really to stay in touch with all that's happening at Nudge is to read our little nudge, where we put out 3 very short, easy-to-read stories every month via email, a traditional form of media, and you can sign up at www.nudgelondon.com. And what you'll get from Little Nudge is literally 3 very short stories a month, and I do it's kind of CEO level targeted stuff, but it'll just keep you up to speed. Questions?
Are you working direct with brands or with agencies, or what's
we do both, actually. We work directly with, for kind of the long-term projects, we work directly with the brands. Sometimes we work with an agency, especially if it's just a short-term thing that they just want to get something out in a hurry. We can help with that. I mean, the main thing is that we're kind of dedicated. You know, we know we're keeping up to speed on both the platform, the experience of what works on these things, and we can kind of bring that to the party for really whoever it is.
During the creative process, how instrumental do you find that brands are in dictating what is the end result of the application, coming up with the concept?
I think brands are very instrumental. I mean, they have at the end of the day, they have the ultimate creative control of what the essence of my brand is, and a lot of it is about translating the essence of my brand onto social media. So how does my brand become social? That has to be the brand manager's job to take the essence of the brand onto social media. Dan.
I'm a bit surprised that you thought Ning was something important to you. I mean, there's a lot of people on there, obviously, but you know, aren't they all in little pens? And how do you cross into other Ning networks if you're a brand?
Well, Scan, do you want to answer that one?
Sorry, I'll answer that for you. Ning have recently rolled out something called network apps. So you can write one open social app that can be deployed across all of the Ning networks. So they're not necessarily little islands. You can write one app that runs on all of Ning.
For sure, but I mean, in terms of actually sort of
valuable apps.
Well, having it spread from one network, you know, I mean, on Facebook you can get a million users, you know, from
instead of spreading from friend to friend, the app will spread from network to network. Because most people on Ning are members of more than one network. So if they see it on one network, they go, oh, that'll be useful on this other one. That's the thing.
Hi.
Sorry, do you usually get, when you get a client or you get a job in, do you kind of
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that the same. There's lots of schools of thought. I come from the school of thought that the same campaign doesn't necessarily needs to be translated onto each social network. So if I've got a campaign, a basic campaign creative idea, just saying I'll make the same version on Bebo, MySpace, and Facebook is kind of nonsense, because Bebo is a completely different type of user. They act in a completely different way to, say, a Facebook user does with their friends. So you kind of do need to have that translation per network. I don't think there's any way around it, really.
And do you say that? I mean, clients come and say, "Oh, we want this for that, that."
Yeah.
And you can't kind of justify why it's not going to work on certain networks. Do you have, do you kind of put that forward? Do you say, "I don't recommend that you do this because this isn't going to work"?
Yeah.
Does that work? Do they listen?
Yeah. We can't, again. It comes again from your outlook on things. I mean, a lot of clients will say, I want this to work on as many places as possible.
Yeah.
But that's kind of just the wrong way of thinking. That's like saying, I want 6 billion people to use this tomorrow. It's just nonsense. That's not the way adoption of utilities or games takes place. The way adoption takes place is you get a small subset that you start with, and they build and build and build, and they tell their friends, and then you've got to focus first. So to me, it doesn't really matter. But just saying, oh, I've got a Flash game and I want to put it on all social networks, so it could, in theory, be picked up. The reality is that it won't be picked up by anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.